Hey guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Mayor Aurora and I am an ex-federal US economist with a mission of promoting financial literacy across YouTube. So recently in the news, you've probably heard of this company called NVIDIA. NVIDIA has been making a name for itself, surpassing both Apple and Microsoft in market capitalization. And what that means is NVIDIA has become one of the largest publicly traded US companies. And you're probably thinking, given its recent increase, is it still a good time to invest in NVIDIA? Well, what if I could tell you that there's potentially a better investment that may include these power growth stocks such as NVIDIA that are more diversified and can grow your wealth over time? Well, the answer to this is what we call ETFs, or exchange traded funds. Let's first examine what ETFs are, and then we'll look at my top 5 ETF recommendations for 2024 for you to grow your money passively with minimal effort and become wealthy over time. So first, what exactly are ETFs? So an ETF is a fund, hence the name exchange traded fund, and trades very similar to stocks that you have in the typical market. The difference is that ETFs can hold a plethora of different assets such as stocks, bonds, and commodities, and they essentially track a market index. If you're looking for a more in-depth analysis of exactly what ETFs are, I covered it in a video, so please make sure to check that out. Nonetheless, investing in an ETF allows you to trade a bundle of different assets during market hours, allowing you to have a more diversified and secured portfolio. So an ETF is like a fruit basket that you'd buy at a grocery store. Instead of buying individual fruits such as apples, oranges, bananas separately, you get a mix of various fruits in one basket. This way you enjoy a variety of fruits without the hassle of picking each one, and if one fruit isn't in season or doesn't taste good, you still have the other ones to enjoy. Now let's compare this example with ETFs. So the benefit of an ETF is there's really 4 things. So there's convenience, diversification, cost efficiency, and flexibility. So in terms of convenience, just like an ETF allows you to invest in multiple assets with a single purchase, the fruit basket lets you enjoy a variety of fruits without the hassle of choosing each one. In terms of diversification, the fruit basket contains different types of fruits, and if one type of fruit isn't in season or doesn't taste good, you still have other ones to enjoy. Similarly, an ETF spreads your investment across various assets, reducing the impact if one performs poorly. In terms of cost efficiency, buying a basket of fruits could be cheaper than buying each fruit separately, and similarly, ETFs often have lower costs compared to buying individual stocks. In terms of flexibility, you can enjoy your fruit basket anytime, just like you can trade ETFs during market hours. And if you crave a particular fruit, you can still buy more of it, just as you can buy more shares of a specific stock if desired. So now let's look at the top 5 ETFs that I would recommend personally for 2024. So firstly, let's look at the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF, which I covered in another video. The ticker for this ETF is VTI, and it tracks the US total stock market. The expense ratio for this ETF is 0.03%, and this represents the cost of owning this fund. So for every $1,000, the annual fee will be 30 cents. It's a top pick because it provides broad exposure to the entire US market, including large cap, mid cap, small cap, and micro cap stocks. But there are potential downsides, first being market volatility, which can impact returns, and there's no specific sector that it focuses on. Its top holdings include Microsoft, Apple, NVIDIA, Amazon, and Facebook. And notice this percentage of fund. These are the weightings of each company in this ETF so that you can see if one company goes down or one company goes up, it won't affect the overall share immensely. And therefore, this is the main benefit of ETFs, that they're well diversified and protected because of these weightings. Next, let's look at the Spider S&P 500 ETF Trust. And the ticker for this is SPY. So this ETF mirrors the S&P 500 index, tracking the top 500 publicly traded companies in the US. And it has an expense ratio of 0.09%. It offers high liquidity, and in terms of potential downsides, it's overweight in large cap stocks, meaning there's potential for underperformance during market shifts. Its top holdings include Microsoft, NVIDIA, Amazon, Meta, and Google. So thirdly, we examine the Invesco QQQ Trust. Ticker symbol is QQQ. This ETF mirrors the NASDAQ 100 index, meaning the 100 largest non-financial companies. It has an expense ratio of 0.20%. It focuses on the 100 largest non-financial companies listed on the Nasdaq, as I mentioned, with a heavy emphasis on tech stocks. The downsides to this ETF, however, is that there's higher volatility due to concentration in one sector, meaning technology, and may not suit conservative investors. The top holdings for this ETF include Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, and Meta. Fourthly, we examine the iShares MSCI Emerging Markets ETF with the ticker symbol of EEM, and this ETF tracks the emerging markets and has an expense ratio of 0.70%. This ETF provides exposure to emerging markets, economies, offering potential for high growth, and the downsides here are that there's currency fluctuations, geopolitical risks in emerging markets, but nonetheless, if you believe in emerging markets, this would be a great option for you. The main holdings here include TSM, Tencent, Samsung, Alibaba, and Reliance. And lastly, in terms of my top 5 picks, the last option here is the Vanguard FTSE Developed Markets ETF with the ticker symbol of VEA, which tracks the developed markets outside of the US and has an expense ratio of 0.05%. This ETF is great because it offers broad exposure to developed markets, as I mentioned, outside of the US, including Europe and Asia. In terms of downsides, however, there's potential for economic downturns in certain developed markets, which can affect the returns of this ETF, and there's exposure to different specific regional risks, for example, Brexit or EU-specific regulations. The top holdings of this ETF include Novo Nordisk, ASML, Nestle, Toyota, and Samsung. It's super clear that ETFs allow you to have a very diversified, simple, and flexible approach to investing with very minimal risk. Whether you want to invest in a specific index or you would like broad exposure to the entire US market or international markets, ETFs are a very simple choice for young and new investors. Researching the underlying index as well as the expense ratio would be my recommendation in terms of choosing the correct ETF that suits your needs and your approach. If you want to optimize your investing strategy and you would like something that takes minimal effort and in one case is somewhat passive, I would suggest that ETFs are a great choice for many reasons. Keep in mind the potential risks such as market volatility as well as concentration in one specific sector, which may not be the best depending on your needs. And let me know in the comments down below if there's a specific ETF that you'd recommend that perhaps I may not have exposure to. So if you made it this far in the video, thanks again for staying tuned in, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.